All right. So if you're watching live, we got another one coming up that we're going to review as part of our double feature Monday. We're doing Spiderhead on Netflix, starring Chris Hemsworth and Miles Teller. But when did you watch? Did you watch? You watched this one today, or was it a few days ago?
This morning. Yep. Just today.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. It kind of snuck up on me. I know we watched the trailer a few months ago. Looked exciting, looked different, kind of excited about it. So we'll watch the trailer one more time. I'll read a quick synopsis and then we'll get into our thoughts on it. So it revolves around mostly two inmates forming a connection while grappling with their past in a state-of-the-art penitentiary ran by a brilliant visionary who was played by Steve, which is Chris Hemsworth, who experiments on his subjects with mind-altering drugs. So like these drugs are pumped in through their spine, I think.
Yeah.
And different ones make you feel different ways, So you can feel angry, you can feel euphoric. I think they're gonna probably show it in a second. Very aroused sexually. If you can find people attractive, you can find random things to be afraid of. So very interesting concept on it, and then at just a click of the button, you can change how you're feeling. So, laughing at random things and stuff like that. So, that's pretty much it. It's just them, and then you get a little bit of everyone's backstory throughout. Yeah. But I think it's based off a book called Escape from Spiderhead.
Yes, a short story. Yes.
Short story? Okay.
Pretty good one, by the way.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. It was a basic kind of story, nothing too crazy. So what were some of the things that you liked about this one?
I really liked the cinematography. It's funny, we were just talking about Top Gun because this is from the same director, Joseph Kosinski.
Oh, is
he's got a great eye for visuals, and everything that he does is just so well shot. Obviously this Top Gun, Tron Legacy is probably like one of my favorite movies to look at. I liked the music. I think it was like Joe Trapanese that did the music. I thought Chris Hemsworth was pretty good. It's so easy to forget that he's actually a solid actor outside of, obviously he's known for the MCU as Thor, but he's good. He's got some range, and he can actually be really even like funny when he wants to be. He was like really good in, he was like really like kind of one of the very few things about Ghostbusters 2016 that I actually found entertaining.
Oh, hey, I forgot he was in it.
Yeah, he was in. I liked him in Cabin in the Woods. He's actually a pretty solid actor. Obviously Miles Teller is great in pretty much anything he's in. Jurnee Smollett was pretty good in it, and I kind of liked the idea of the movie as well. It kind of, with kind of like the mind-altering drugs, there were parts that kind of reminded me of that Steve Soderbergh movie Side Effects from years back.
Okay.
It had Channing Tatum, Rooney Mara, Catherine Zeta-Jones was in it. It was kind of like a smaller. I don't think it did like too much box office business, but it came out about like 9 or 10 years ago, I want to say. So there were elements that reminded me of that. But yeah, I'd say those were probably my main ones: the acting, the cinematography, and the concept is one that hasn't been explored terribly much. So it was nice to see that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it's very, very different.
Yeah,
with being the penitentiary. I'm tight. And I was kind of curious, and they do touch on like what everyone was in jail for, because, well, not everyone, the main character, which was Lizzie. This is was it Jurnee? What was her name? Jurnee Smollett? Jenner?
I think it was Lizzie. I want to say
Lizzie.
Right,
yeah, Lizzie and Jeff, and Jeff was Miles Teller, and then Steve, Chris Hemsworth. But definitely, I think Chris Hemsworth, I know he was like a producer or something on it, or executive producer. I think you kind of forget, like, I'm like, oh, he's a real actor. Like,
Yeah.
he's just not this goofy Thor.
Hmm.
And this one, I I get why they gave him the American accent, but
Hmm.
he has such a thick Australian accent.
Australian
I
accent.
think that it slipped through a few times. I don't know if you
It
caught
did
that.
kind of.
There were,
I did catch that.
yeah, yeah. Which I get why though too, is like he had to be very emotional in some of the scenes. Like
Hmm.
because there are parts where he's on the drugs himself, which is
Hmm.
in itself interesting. I wasn't sure. I mean, I don't want to get too much in, well, spoilers. Full of spoilers. He had a traumatic childhood, and I get why he wanted to have like that euphoria kind of at
Hmm.
sometimes that he's able to do and stuff like that. Like there was one where they were kind of basically getting high, him and Jeff.
Hmm.
So and all it was just that drug, whatever number it was. Um, but there was, yeah, that was pretty cool. But they kind of slipped in there. But besides that, like he has some acting ranges. I mean, 1 minute he was laughing, 1 minute he was scared, and 1 minute he was crying, and 1 minute he was like happy, and then like drugged out. So I was like, that
Hmm.
was kind of interesting how to pull it off. Like you have to literally like 1 second you're this, and the next second you're a whole different emotion. So that was kind of interesting. Um,
Hmm.
Definitely Miles Teller. Part of me doesn't like him, but then part of me is like he does good movies. So
He
it's
does.
like
I
it's hard not to like him.
I remember a lot of people on message boards when he kind of first appeared on the scene. Everyone used to say that he had a very punchable face.
Yeah,
Uh,
I remember
um,
that.
I was never too bothered by his face. He reminds me of John Cusack nowadays.
Yes, yes, as that
Yeah,
man. That's definitely.
yeah, just physically and with a lot of his voice and his delivery. He reminds me of John Cusack.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I've never had a problem with the dude. I've never had a problem with him. I've always liked him. I never really like gone out of my way to really like watch anything that he was in. But I've never had a
mhm.
problem with the dude. I think he's just fine. And I've always been, Fantastic Four 2015 notwithstanding, pretty much liked him in everything I've seen him in.
Yeah, yeah. Everything else I did like, except for Fantastic Four. Um, well,
Mhm.
Divergent. I didn't like Divergent in general, and I know he was in that as well, or all the
He sure
Divergent,
was.
Insurgent. Um,
Mhm. Allegiant.
War Dogs. He was super good in Spiderhead, obviously. Top Gun,
Hmm.
really good. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, the punchable face thing. As soon as you said, I remember other people saying that, like 2015, 2016, when he first started kind of showing up a little bit.
Yeah, so many
Whatever
people
year that
used
was.
to say that.
I forgot about that. I forgot
Yeah,
about that.
I'm like, lay off this dude.
Yeah. But man, he's pretty good. Especially in this one, like
Yeah.
he's really good. There's the part where him and the big buff dude with all of the tattoos are sitting
Hmm.
in there, and just from the past experiences he had in the room, I don't want to give it away. He kind of like sat there and thought about it for a second, and he's like, "Nope,
Hmm.
nope,
Nope.
like I do not agree to this." So
Hmm.
I thought that was kind of like funny, So yeah, so there was some good parts that I liked about it. Definitely the acting was really good, and like you said,
Yeah.
the shots, of him flying into the Spiderhead facility was really cool. You know,
Yeah.
th-
Yeah. Like.
even the facility itself, like hanging off a cliff like that, was
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Like I said, Joe Kaczynski does not play around when it comes to his cinematography and the way that he sets his the shots up. I always think that's absolutely like impeccable from him.
mhm.
Even if the movie isn't like quite up to par. But he's made things that at least on some level I've liked. And it was kind of interesting to see him kind of step out of, because he usually makes pretty big movies, like obviously Top Gun, Tron. He did Oblivion with Tom
Yeah,
Cruise.
yeah.
I think there was, I don't know if it was Everest or like the one Forest Fire movie with Josh Brolin. I can't quite remember.
Only the Brave. That's what I'm looking at now.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he directed that, if I'm not mistaken, either.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so yeah, he's done big ones.
yeah, it was, and it's always interesting to see a director kind of step out of the zone or the comfort zone that they're, or the categories that they're so used known for, and kind of do something a little different. This was much smaller in comparison to a lot of the other things that he did. So
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting to see that.
Yeah. That was another thing that I did enjoy was this whole movie. I know we said we like the cinematography of it, but majority of the movie takes place in a room looking into another room. So
Yeah.
it's really just that. So I
Mhm.
was kind of like interesting, like having that kind of part of it. There's like other
Mhm.
little parts, but majority of this movie is just there. So I was like, it
Yeah.
felt very like I didn't feel constricted because there's times where I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, like you can tell you're in one room the entire time.
Mhm.
But this one, it didn't feel like that. It felt like, the parts that they got out onto the island and stuff like that made it like you were at the entire island, even though maybe like 70-80% of the movie was in that one room.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, so I thought that was well done with
Yeah.
that. But yeah, anything else before we move on to some of the dislikes?
I'd say for me that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
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 That immediately comes
All right.
to mind.
Yeah. Well, what about some dislikes? What didn't you like?
The way the last kind of 10 to 15 minutes, there was such a shift in tone that kind of felt weird. It kind of felt like it was going for like kind of like more of like kind of dark comedy near the end. Especially with them trying to escape and all the inmates kind of turning on them. Like some of that stuff kind of seemed like it was kind of played up for laughs, just kind of jarring and very tonally inconsistent than everything that we had seen before that. I think that it was kind of hard to get a read on the movie early on, and by that I mean, like what it was kind of what it was kind of trying to do. Like at some points, the narrative kind of got a little slow, and I wasn't quite sure what they were going for in certain, at certain points. And the way that it ended, just kind of seemed like they were in a rush to kind of just wrap it all up,
Yeah.
like as quickly as possible. I would say those were like my main ones. Sometimes I kind of seemed unsure of what it was setting out to do. The last 10 minutes, didn't quite work for me. And like I said, it had a very interesting idea, but I think that at certain points it didn't quite run with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
At
totally.
times yeah, it didn't do as much as it could have with the premise.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I'd say those were my main things.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. I know at one part
Mhm.
I had to pause the movie and run and go do something. And when I hit
Mhm.
pause, the little timer shows up at the bottom, and I'm like, oh shit, there's only like 30 minutes, 20. It was like 20 something, so almost 30 minutes left. And I'm like, it felt like they haven't got to the problem yet. Like
Yeah.
the movie's gonna end, and I don't know what the issue is yet. Like what the overall problem is. Like what's the like and then it kind of like you said, it happens all really quick. I would say the last like 20 minutes, you start to find out less maybe that's about 25 minutes or so. You find out like, he finds the book with all the notes, and then it's just like boom, the last 10 minutes happens and it's just so quick, and it was just I just feel like part of the movie was missing almost, you know.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Kind of felt a little incomplete.
Yeah, yeah, and I really would have liked them to get more with some of these other characters, like and the
Hmm.
drugs, stuff like that. I mean, we really didn't get into Steve besides his dad screwing him up, and then his is it Mark? I think his name was.
Mark, yeah.
Um, Mark was like yeah, it was Mark. He's like, oh, he's a genius, but I didn't know he's evil, and that's all we really know about him, so it's I don't know. I was just kind of curious more about Steve's backstory, especially like if you get somebody like Chris Hemsworth, like you feel like you want to explore more of his character, and
Yeah,
really
definitely. And I
didn't too much.
Yeah, and I get what they were trying to do, trying to make Steve kind of like an enigmatic type figure, but you got to kind of give us something, or at least give us a little more than what you did give us.
Yeah, there was times where he did talk very modern, douchey businessman-ish, and I didn't like that. His whole mannerisms and his tone, was very like it was a modern version of the boss from Office Space, like that's what it reminded me of, but modern. It's like, oh, BRB, and
Yeah, and
he's like, well, I really need you to press that button, if you
yeah,
could press that
that
button,
that
please. Yeah,
yeah, that real kind of passive aggressive type.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I didn't
yeah.
even think of
So,
the Bill Lumbergh comparison,
yeah, I forgot.
but now,
I couldn't think of his
but now
name.
that yeah, but Bill Lumbergh is. I used to go around quoting him a lot, just going like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you to go ahead and do this for me, okay?"
Yeah. I mean, he was
Oh,
basically that character, but
mhm.
in a suit and more modern,
Yeah,
But it was still the
yeah,
same thing, But and obviously a lot more emotional because there's part where he got mad and stuff like that. But yeah,
mhm.
yeah, it was just that asshole boss kind of vibe you
Yeah,
got from him. So that was kind of fun.
yeah. I did
Not
not even
not
stop to
good
think
though.
about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
good
I did
call.
not like that. I did not like that though. Even though I'm laughing at it, it just didn't come off good.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it just yeah, like you said, it was just rushed at the end, and just felt
Hmm.
it was missing. I'm like,
Yeah,
I wanted more. What was the runtime on this?
I want to say like an hour, 40 minutes, hour 45 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, hour 47.
Hmm.
So, oh man,
Yeah,
it always sucks. Sometimes movies run too long. I feel like they could have probably thrown in another 10, 15 minutes and got it right over 2 hours and squeezed in a little bit more info on everything. Might have been
definitely,
made it better, but
definitely.
yeah. But cool. Anything else? We'll get into our reviews or ratings.
I'd say in this case, that's pretty much it as far as
Yeah.
Spiderhead goes.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna get into our ratings on Spoiler Kings. So we rate everything a now, later, or never. So now watch it now, later. You can wait until doing the dishes and throwing on the TV. Or
Mhm.
never means skip it. It's not worth the time. What are you giving Spiderhead?
I'm gonna give it a very middle of the road later. Uh, you know, Nothing to really rush out and watch or put on. You know, it's a background noise movie.
Yeah, yeah. It really
you
is.
know, wasn't wasn't horrible. And like I said, man, it definitely had an interesting premise. They just didn't do enough with it. It definitely wasn't without its merits, well acted, like I said, well shot. Um, so aesthetically speaking, I thought it was great. But in terms of like the narrative and storyline, it just didn't do as much as it could have, I thought. So I'm gonna give it a later.
Yeah, yeah. Same. This is definitely when we're talking about a later movie, like if it's out on streaming, just watch it while you're like doing the dishes or laundry or something like that.
Yeah,
This is the perfect definition of it. It's great cast, a good story where you don't need to like get deeply invested in it. So you can like walk away and come back and not really miss much. And
exactly.
then but for me, at the ending. the ending was just so. It wasn't horrible, but it was just mismanaged. I guess it missed a few beats.
Yeah,
So like I said, it
yeah,
looked great. The cast was great acting. The story was good. It could have been better. It could have been really, really good.
yeah.
I think if they, I don't know, but yeah, definitely later. Washing the dishes, doing the laundry, folding clothes, or whatever. You want to watch something in the background.
Mhm.
This will probably be it. This will definitely
Yeah,
be it.
yeah. If you're gonna watch it, make sure you're doing something else at the same time.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
goes
You
without
don't need to.
saying.
Yeah, you don't need to invest all your attention to it.
Mhm.
And over on Rotten Tomatoes, I think most people agree with us.
Mhm.
Maybe they hate it a little bit more, but we got the critics gave it a 44%. So the tomato meter is 44, which is, I don't know, bad. I don't know. It's a little green splat that rotten, I guess.
Mhm.
And then the audience gave it a 33. So the audience really didn't like it. So critics and audience did not like it. But it was the number one spot on Netflix over the weekend. It took the spot on Netflix's top 10 list.
Yeah, I did see that on
You
there.
know, so yeah, it was the most watched movie of the weekend, which I get. I mean, especially you got somebody like Chris Hemsworth and Miles Teller, who is in the biggest movie so far. Chris Hemsworth, which is
Mhm.
probably gonna be the next biggest movie. And you have both of them, right in between both of those movies. I mean, it was a perfect opportunity for Netflix just to like steal the show from everything,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
they kind of did it.
with them in it, I expected more.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, because it certainly
Um,
had, like I said, like we said, it certainly had the talent. In
it
front of
did.
and behind the camera.
Yeah, yeah. And then one last thing I did see this when I was looking at Rotten Tomatoes was
Mhm.
that this movie is becoming one of the worst rated movie for Chris Hemsworth. So out of all his movies, this is one of the worst. I think the worst is his uh dark sci-fi epic 35, putting it below Ghostbusters. Yeah, yeah. So
Mhm.
Ghostbusters is down there
Mhm.
at 35. And this is at 44. So not too late to be his worst, but
Right.
yeah, it just really sucks. 'Cause I was really hyped to see this movie after watching
Me
the
too.
trailer. I was so hyped to see this movie.
Me too. And when we're getting such an oversaturation of as much as I like them, it's nice to have something that isn't like Marvel or like a big grand scale kind of epic movie. It's nice to watch these movies that have interesting ideas, and even the trailers didn't really give away like a whole lot. It was just enough to kind of pique my interest because this zoomed in way under my radar when I saw the trailer last month. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna give that a watch. We don't get too much stuff like this nowadays. So it on surface level it seemed very very fresh,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like I said, the short story was really good. So there was definitely potential there. It just kind of you know between this and Lightyear, it at least had a little more kind of it had something resembling a little bit of a voice and a little bit like a little bit of a soul to it, just a little bit. But
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
yeah, it was but like Lightyear, it was just okay. I thought.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. When it was over, I was just like, all right. I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
have any questions. I really didn't have any feelings. I was like, okay,
same.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, huh. Well, that was a movie I watched.
Yeah, but
Mm,
it was on Netflix, so it makes it a little bit more tolerable, I guess.
totally.
You know, but um, But yeah, man. I think that's it. So audience didn't really like it, despite it being number one.
Mm.
But yeah. Anything else
Yeah.
before we close this one out?
Pretty much it. Pretty much it.
Yeah. Cool. So if you're watching live, stick around. We're gonna just finish up things. If you're watching our replay, thank you. Make sure you hit that sub button. We're on our road to 300. Make sure you like the video and let us know what you thought about Spiderhead. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Was it stupid? Did you like Chris Hemsworth? Did you catch his Australian accent slip ups? But yeah, just leave a comment. Let us know what you guys thought. But that is it from us this week. Next week we'll be live with. Dang, I don't even know what movie's coming out. Oh, Black Phone.
Yeah, Black Phone.
Right. Yeah, Black Phone is coming out with Ethan Hawke. So we're gonna review that one. But yeah, thank you guys, and we'll see you guys next week. And then make sure you check out us on Wednesday. We're doing The Boys, Miss Marvel, and the finale of Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be a fun one. But cool. Let's get out of here. Thank you guys.
Thank you.